Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there that are playing a critical role in their children's lives. You're much appreciated. So we'll start it off as always. I'm going to leave the name of the fragrance, the day and the date that I wore them in the description below. Monday we got Dubai Emerald from the House of Bond number 9. Beautiful floral Middle Eastern fragrance. Leather and oud is in there as well. I really enjoy it, but as a guy you might want to get a sample or a decant because it is pretty floral. It's not going to be for everybody, but a beautiful Middle Eastern style fragrance. Now on Tuesday we got Beach Hut Man from Amouage. I just felt like wearing something fresh, green. It's one of those fragrances. It lasts forever. Even the new batches, 30-something% oil concentration. This one is so strong, I have to plan out what fragrance that I'm wearing the next day with these. So I don't know what some people are talking about with longevity. You get something with that fragrance structure and 30% oil concentration, it is going to last a long time. Now, Rose Sapphire on Wednesday from the House of Boadicea the Victorious. One of my favorite rose fragrances, just for the pure note of how good a rose can be. You got a lot of resins, Middle Eastern spices, so you got turmeric and cardamom, but for people that are a little bit adverse to turmeric, I don't know if I would pick that out by itself. It seems to be more dominated by the cardamom and the resins. Got some everlasting flower in there as well. You just got to look up the notes. This stuff is absolutely incredible. A lot different than some of their other rose fragrances such as Dasman and Almas and even Alsif. Very much more focused toward the resins part of it, so not a typical rose oud fragrance. Similar category here, we got Charon's Veil from the House of Argos, Rose, Oud, Saffron. But this is a much more wearable oud. This has also got a little bit of like a powdery, resiny, floral note in there. One of the best saffron notes I've smelled in a fragrance is this fragrance right here, Charon's Veil. Really beautiful spicy note with some of the other florals that they mixed in with there. Obviously you got some rose as well, but this is just absolutely incredible. Really love Charon's Veil. Every time I wear it, it is more impressive each time I put that fragrance on. So next, one of my favorites from the House of Boadicea, even with all the Zodiac series that I've tried so far, Hasu is just incredible. The fruit notes at the top, you got the hay accord, the moss, the woods. There's just something about this fragrance. It smells so powerful, regal, masculine, well blended. Hasu is just absolutely incredible. And that fragrance for me, the hay accord I thought was going to be a little bit weird at first, but it just goes perfectly with the fragrance. It's very difficult to describe. Again, if they put hay as a note in there without reading it, I don't think I would pick it up. But just the way that it is blended, and the projection and the longevity, just like you would expect from a lot of Boadiceas with the price that they carry. But for me, that one is very, very special in the Zodiac series. So next day we got Tobacco Sapphire. You already know, one of my favorite fragrances from Boadicea. Obviously one of my favorite tobacco fragrances in my collection. And if you see me wearing a fragrance such as Boadicea Tobacco Sapphire or Amouage Royal Tobacco, especially in the heat during this time of year, you pretty much already know I was smoking cigars that day, and that is the case. So on Sunday, we got Roja Parfums, Amber Oud, sweet, honeyed, almost like a fig type of raisiny smell to it. It's very deep, complex. It's got some spice going on in there as well. But for me, a very wearable, clean type of oud at the base, not anything barnyard, funky, or animalic. Just an extremely likable, very, very well projecting fragrance from Roja Parfums. And that is one of those fragrances, again, every single time I wear it, I seem to enjoy it more and more. Now Monday, one of my favorite fragrances, not just from Bond number 9, but maybe in my entire collection. This is Riverside Drive. Light but heavy, pineapple, oak moss, rose, sandalwood, lily of the valley. Unbelievably good fragrance. In fact, I have the original one that's almost 20 years old, a little less than half full, completely different color due to the age. This one is starting to get more of a tint on this right here. And as it ages, I'm just going to be comparing it with the old one, probably do a follow-up video of those two and just kind of seeing how they're getting along soon. But if you've not tried Riverside Drive, really great fragrance. Again, it's light, versatile, very compliment oriented, but for a lighter fragrance, at least on my skin, it does last quite a long time. Now, you guys have been telling me to buy this. This is Boadicea Neiman Marcus 1907. Very sweet fragrance. I do like it a lot. Not my favorite Boadicea. I was hoping for a little more tobacco in there, but I can see why they didn't. It's definitely not centered around the note of tobacco, but you do get it a little bit on the dry down. But man, it's the pink peppercorn, the sage. You almost get like a lemon candy sort of note. This is something that date night, board meeting, office, doesn't really matter the situation. You're going to wear Neiman Marcus 1907 and you're going to smell great. Probably get a ton of compliments. I would almost equate it to Night of Love or Majestic. Not in terms of how it smells, but it's one of those fragrances, it's hard to describe it. You just got to spray it on skin, smell it, because it smells really, really good. And it is a very versatile fragrance, just very compliment oriented. And very glad I purchased this one. I waited for a while to get a good deal on tester, and I'm very pleased with that. So now we're going to get into the House of Al Shareef Oud. I'll be doing separate videos on these, so I'll try to keep it somewhat brief. The first day we got Aurangzeb. Now, going to the House of Al Shareef as a collector and fragrance lover, that was definitely part of it, but the main thing was the educational standard and the educational opportunity to try pure wild oud oils, to try different attars. And Aurangzeb is harvested in 1973, so it's been aging for what, over 50 years now? And this is just an unbelievably potent, pure oud oil. We're going to smell it right now. And if you've ever smelled pure oud oil, it's not something that you're going to put on, think you're going to walk around and get tons of compliments on. Again, it's more about the education and what oud smells like from different regions and also being aged at different times. So, very, very pungent. Smells better as far as you have to really take a full breath of it in to understand what you're smelling, because your senses can be overwhelmed when you first smell it. But it is very potent, and you can see just the quality in that oil. Very, very amberish red type of color. Again, aging for nearly 50 years. Just absolutely incredible stuff. And it is something that as you get more into the House of Al Shareef and you get more into pure wild oud oils and attars, it's something that gives you kind of a standard to see what perfume companies are actually using real oud and quality oud, which is one of the reasons I do love Boadicea, Roja Parfums, Amouage, and even some of the Bond No. 9s from the Dubai series, because you can tell that they are using real oud and quality oud. Some of it is farmed and manufactured, obviously a lot different, a lot cheaper, but also a lot more something that can be replicated, which is not a bad thing for the perfumery industry. But if you're really wanting to get into specifics of regions, you really need to go to companies like Al Shareef and buy the pure wild oud oils that represent those regions, not the farmed oud oils. So next day we got Rakheem, which is different. It's a Thailand oud. It's from the Kranchi region. Kranchi, probably mispronounced that. And 4 years aged, completely different region. And this is just shocking how different they can be. This has got a lot more fruit notes to it, like dark fruits, raisins, dates, understated sweetness to it as well. It's not something like modern perfumery where you have a lot of like maybe maltol or other types of things that may be combined to add to make it sweeter. This is just a very understated, natural, woody sweetness with some of those dark fruits and the oud in there. And I did buy a 2.5 ml of Rakheem. Just absolutely incredible. Now on Friday, this is another one from Al Shareef that I've wanted for quite some time. This is Ishraaq, and this is a tobacco, oud, resin, and spice fragrance. In fact, it is very aggressive. I do think people who like tobacco sapphire and Amouage Royal tobacco that are looking for maybe a little bit more of a raw and elemental experience, this is just top notch. This is instantly my favorite tobacco fragrance in my collection, just because of how it's blended, how it smells, the combination. I think there's 3 different types of aged oud in here. Very strong on the spices and the resins, as you would expect for this type of fragrance, coming from the House of Al Shareef. And it was very expensive. It was almost $500 for a 30 ml of this bottle, but it's absolutely incredible stuff. Projection, longevity is just insane. And I got a lot more coming from the house of Al Shareef. So I'll be doing reviews probably on the house as a whole and keep that as an entirely separate video. So I won't ruin all the surprises for that, but wonderful, wonderful house. One of the best houses that you can use in order to get into like pure oud oil and a lot more of the elemental kind of facets of Middle Eastern perfumery. So on Saturday, 20-year-old fragrance from the house of Bond Number 9, one of the original batches of Wall Street. Just felt like wearing it and catching up with it. My friend bought a new bottle of Wall Street a little while ago, so I'll be doing a comparison video of his new bottle compared to mine. Almost a 20-year-old difference in these fragrances. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes, but this is still smelling really good. Heavy on the ambergris, very ozonic, a lot of vetiver. So a very green marine fragrance that just lasts forever. And one of the few Bond Number 9s, probably because it uses so much real ambergris, that I have heard quite a bit of batch variation. In fact, I think it was Bowtie Fragrance Guy. He had a 50 ml of this, hated it, ended up getting 100 ml, was one of his favorite Bond Number 9 fragrances and really enjoyed it. So other than signature scent, Wall Street is really one of the few other fragrances from Bond Number 9 that I see a lot of, back and forth on like batch variations and which ones to get, and just some people really loving it or some people hating it. So Sunday, today on Father's Day, Royal Tobacco, smoking cigars with my brother and my dad, my family on my porch, and just absolutely gorgeous fragrance for that occasion. Sweet, woody, definitely has a lot of oud and tobacco in there as well, and you get that more and more on the dry down. In fact, I sprayed that on, had to have been around 8 o'clock this morning. Can still smell it. In fact, one of the complaints that you hear about Royal Tobacco is that it's just too strong. Again, like a lot of these fragrances, if it's too strong, just spray less. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Really, really interesting fragrance rotation. Had a lot of variety of stuff in here. Some days it was rainy, some days it was hot. Some days like Tobacco Sapphire and Royal Tobacco, smoking cigars, they just kind of called, the occasion kind of called for a tobacco fragrance. So a lot of it has to do with the weather. A lot of what I wear also has to do with the situation, what I'm doing. And yeah, just letting you know what I wear and how I wear it. So until next time, guys, got a lot more coming from the house of Al Shareef especially. So stay tuned for those videos. See you soon.